from Ecuador, Pontificia Católica University of Ecuador. Thank you very much for this invitation. I want to read because the time is very short. In this space, we are going to share you the experience of Pontificia Universidad Católica del Ecuador, case study, research management at Pontificia Universidad Católica with aware management model and business process management functionality. David and James will also be presenting you as about the improvements to the system they are developing. La PUCE has an outstanding academic research career which has allowed it national and international recognition. The research results obtained over the years have placed PUCE at the top of the national list. The records of publication in high-impact journals date back to the 70s. However, its processes of support for research and collection of information did not respond to the pace of the scientific production, preserving a management model limited to the allocation of resources through a research project, which prevent a comprehensive view and the measurement of potential beyond publication or the continuity of initiatives that should present the project. Thanks to the implementation of the Pure system, we have greater visibility of our production and the networks of our researchers. With consolidated processes, service lines, reformulation of the scope of research project, and challenges of a new institutional structure, the Pure platform is validated as a tool to sustain the new management model through the work management model and business process management. We can see. Next, Jeannie will present you a brief reference of our resources allocation model.
Thanks, Veronica, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. I tried to read and don't extend my presentation because my mind now thinking in Spanish a lot of things, so I try to think in English. So our path through our now implementation begins at 2020. I have problems with numbers, sorry. Then in 2022, we began to work in a model for the allocation of research hours because we realized that hours was the more valuable resource that our researchers want. So that was a route for the allocation of non-financial resources. If you see our path, just our direction began to think in those things in 2017. And we tried to intensify our production since 2028, and we think how we increase our production more. So we thought we have to give more resources to the researchers, but not financial resources. We think, how can we give them hours to make more production? So if we review the Scopus data, the sustained growth of academic production is easily identified since 2017. Production was intensified because of the model of management and allocation of resources developed since 2090s. But we thought about the hours just during the COVID, because we realized that we have more and more production during these days because the researchers have more times. Then, however, in those times, because of the needs of the government regulations, research data have to be handled in Excel books as a backup for the certification processes. Our university support administration system of support are two, for the management and academics, which is Banner, and SAP for financial activities. But neither of those systems responds to the administration or research results. So we, in that moment, we know about Pure, and we bought Pure. Sorry. That is one example of our Excel books. So we have for research, JAWS, Power BI, and the data, the evidence of the data we have in PDF archives. So that was our life until now, but we try to use Pure to respond to the government, but to be more efficient. So in 2021, we make a system to model to know how to give to the researchers hours through their results. Then when we have the Pure model, the management module focuses on the allocation of resources and its validation. We thought the research support actions are processes where we can find inputs, production, and outputs. If we consider each researcher as the beginning of the process, when the researcher submits a new project application, initiates a process which will end at the delivery of the publication. Then, upon the delivery of the new publication, it returns to the beginning. This new beginning brings the continuity that the processes, different the processes when the projects. Our management module responds to that structure and helps to manage the resources at the same time of the results planning. So it's a similarity how the management module works. We create a yearly work plan in which the researchers reflect not just the product, but the action that they are going to do for the hours we gave to them. Each of these actions are monitored through the different types of funding opportunities that the system allows, similar to our services lines. The milestones show us activity and the different research results they report, bringing us the evidence of our investment. Now we can have at Pure all of their yearly annual plans when the researchers show us how they planning to do. Now the specific thing or topic there are publications, so we know how are they going to do. When they do it, we know how to organize the time and our budget to respond to their needs. So maybe David could to explain better than me.
Thank you. Okay. Well, so fortunately, Veronica and Ginny had very clear what they needed, so they subscribed to Pure, and the implementation started in June of the last year. And well, the first months were focused on bringing data into Pure, what we can call the core implementation. But then on October, the focus started to change to the award management. Now, as you have heard, the last year were released very key features that were new to everyone. So first, it was important for the whole team to familiarize with these features, to know what were the capabilities, and then started to adapt all the process and customize to the process that needed the university. So then from October to February was the implementation of the award management. And then on April, the university started to test these on real scenarios to make pilots to gather feedback to see if everything was working as expected. This is a very general 4 steps overview of how the implementation of the award management was made. First, as the university has multiple internal funding opportunities and application types, so first they focus to try to customize the types and then to do the same for grants and projects. And it is a good practice if you have, if you can try to match the names across the different content types, so you can establish the transitions. Like if you know that this is an application, a specific application, just know what grant type you're going to go after an application is approved. And after that is where all the focus went to the workflow design. In this case, the university was the first one in Latin America to start using the business process manager annotation. That is the workflows that James showed in the last presentation. And one key feature of these process manager workflows is that it is possible to create multiple workflows and assign them to different application types. So as you can see, there are multiple different application types created, and each of them have also subtypes. So they are very different in nature. So it's important to differentiate them and to have different approval steps. So this is just to give you a brief summary of all the applications that were created. So for example, we have projects, but there are different kinds of projects. The next one, funding, is about a funding opportunity for publishing expenses that could be like APCs, translation services, editing, or printing. The next one is about the sponsorship of to help researchers to attend to academic events if they want to participate, travel expenses. The next one is for an incentive program, but it is made also through an application process. So this is like a performance-based payments. The next one is intellectual property. Similar, the researchers can create an application and ask for funding to pay the whole process, to cover the expenses. And the next one is the one that it's related to the hours allocation. So here the researchers had to create an application. They specified what they were going to do during the year. And then this was approved, and finally the hours were assigned. And the last two are not funding related, but the university took opportunity of the award management and the whole framework that they had for an application and an approval process, because this is for registration of research groups and research units. So the award management also could help for that. And this is just an example of two different workflows. As you can see, there are simple, straightforward workflows, but the first one is for projects. This is a 4 approval steps, and the second one is for academic events participation. So they are different, and it's possible to assign them to different application types. And talking a little bit more about the research hours allocation use case, once an application is approved, there's also a grant created that is the first one, research time. And the team is also using the milestones to track the deliverables and the deadlines committed by the researchers. So that is another feature of the award management, but that is, you can use milestones on applications, on grants, on different content types, but in this case, the deliverables are managed on the award level, on the grant content type level. And then a project is also created and related to the grant, and there is where the researchers start making relations to all the results. We know that maybe this can take time, so that's why it's important to keep track of the deliverables. Maybe that's when they confirm with evidence that they finish their commitments, but maybe it will take a little more time to start to see the publications or other kind of results. So we consider this a success story because all the targets that were defined by the university were achieved. And well, it was very important since the beginning to try to accomplish this. The first one is about accurate measurement. The university was making a great effort to allocate all these resources to give all the researchers what they needed to perform their research. So it was important to have everything in place to know exactly that the university is doing a good job allocating those resources. The next one is about traceability, to know, well, in all levels, to know exactly how the applications are being approved, but also across the whole cycle, once an application is approved, if the results are already related to those applications or to those to the whole relations. And the next one was about using a tool. It's try to stop using other manual processes to have all these in Pure was very important also for the university. And the next one is, well, if the data is already there, well, to have the opportunity to report on all this data.
Thanks. Okay. So yeah, just for my part on this discussion. So it's been fabulous working with all our customers kind of globally, particularly down in Latin America with David, Diego, and others as well down there. So I think one of the things we kind of talk about with this project is basically what we can do next. And as I mentioned probably to a few people today as well, one of the things with implementing award management is that you can't just kind of like do it all at once. And there's a ton of functionality in there as well that can then support further enhancements to the processes that can again further improve the kind of the effectiveness of the project overall. So one of them, which we want to kind of just look at in a little bit more detail, is how we then start to use, for example, the review content type a bit more. And like I said, I mentioned before, the review content type was a type we actually introduced back in 5.27, I think it was originally, application. So a wee while back now, but I think it's a really powerful type that we want to start making more use of across more customers, which lets us start to kind of establish kind of core details about applications or other content types, as it were, for submission. And the key kind of thing with this is that a lot of customers will use things like keywords extensively on applications to kind of hugely extend the yes/no answers they're kind of asking all the way down. And you can do an awful lot to replace those sorts of extended sort of form requirements by separating those questions out for the question they're needed. So that's one of those kind of specific areas we're looking at within here, kind of basically kind of continue to develop the review content site further as we kind of move into the project. The second thing, of course, is talking about, again, enhanced reporting. So making use of the data in the system to be able to support better information. So, for example, we talked a little bit about throughput reporting on processes, understanding really just how much we can do to improve certain processes based on the amount of time it's taken to deliver against them. And also to improve the way that information is then sort of collated and made available to industry leaders or to research leaders within the organization to help make better decisions about how we can kind of move forward within the project. And contract management. So again, this is the most kind of latest one we kind of talked about, which is about how we sort of really support the many kind of cases that are supported at all points during the application process. So, we have contracts for all sorts of things. We have NDA contracts, we have contracts, material transfer agreement kind of questions. We have, collaboration agreements, subcontractor agreements. They all have to shift throughout the whole project, and they all often interconnected with each other. So the contract management type gives us a whole new kind of set of capabilities in here to be able to support additional kind of workflow requirements that are needed within here. And we do have solid ambitions to really improve the way that this kind of contract type is extended. So it's early days yet for it, but something we want to make use of here as well. And then really just what we just talked about, so how we then start to kind of use the flows a little bit more comprehensively. So as David said, the initial flows here are relatively straightforward flows. But sooner or later we expect to see branching happening on those flows as well, additional kind of requirements, things like emails, notifications, escalation processes, and so on and so forth. So again, part of that process is kind of managing down there. So I think one of the key takeaways we've learned over the last 2 or 3 years is the need to introduce capability maturity model thinking and the implementation of award management. Get so far, stop, assess, move on a bit, stop, assess, move on a bit, stop, assess. But it's important not to sort of stop and just stay stopped. All right. There's a huge amount of opportunity in some of these additional functionality you can use to build out further. So that was it. That was just my few additional extras on the end of that, working with the team here. So any questions? That's it.
I'm sure there must be some questions. It's exciting to see, because the thing that we haven't been able to crack yet is we've still only got 24 hours in the day. So the more efficiencies we can get, the better.
Thanks. Just a question for the team, really. So we've also recently started using milestones, and it's quite a new thing for us as well. So I just wondered how you'd found that had worked with your team. Is it something that they like? Have they had any concerns about using them or anything like that? Because we're, I think, in a similar place as you at the moment with that bit of functionality.
Okay. Well, maybe to answer that question, I have to make another question. I don't know if the researchers are already using or testing milestones too. What has been the experience?
Yeah, we make a pilot with 20 of our top researchers, which have a lot of activities to do, and another ones that they have a lot of activities to do. And they are very happy because they said, at least we have a system, not just to Excel. That is why I talk about Excel, because usually we have to give to them some Excel sheets to make their reports. So now they have a system. So they are really happy. It is a little bit more work, but they feel comfortable to make that work in that kind of application. So it was from now it was very nice. Yeah, it was nice.
Look, we'll bring it to a close, but thank you all so much. It's lovely to see the work you've done.